Today I'm going to go over the numbers. What works in rental arbitrage? I'm going to show you exactly what to expect in net profit per property, what the investment will be, your upfront investment, and what the return on your investment will be and how fast you're going to get paid back. So here's the thing. The way I was able to acquire 18 units, 18 units my first year, that is, not because I had all the capital for 18 units. I had enough for one unit, maybe two. And so it was super important for me to get my money back in a relatively short period of time so I can use that profit to acquire my subsequent properties. And that was the only way I was able to do this. I was super skeptical about rental arbitrage in the beginning when I did it. So I acquired 18 properties in my first 12 months, 46 properties in my first 24 months, coming into this with zero experience. But for me, it's all about the numbers, parts of this business. If the data doesn't tell me I'm going to earn money, and the way I determine that, I'm going to show you right now, if it doesn't definitively tell me, okay, if you go into this market, you're going to make X, then I'm out. I'm not going to do it. And so for me, it's just about data. I know there's a lot of people who say, hey, just go on Zillow and then look at a property and how much they're making and then just get a property next to them. That's not business. And so I'm going to show you the numbers using my rental arbitrage calculator. And so this is exactly how I did my first 12 units, my first 18 units, my first 50 units. Every unit up until my 60th property, I use the same exact process. So I'm going to show that to you right now. So here is my rental arbitrage calculator. I'm actually going to go over an actual student deal that I did last week. Apartments are the only thing that works in rental arbitrage. There's not a single operator in the United States that's scaling in single family homes, not one that's focused exclusively on homes. There are some people out there that have a showpiece, a beautiful house, but they're really scaling in apartments. And for whatever reason, they're not talking about apartments. And I think probably because they're not showing you the numbers. They're not explaining to you with a little bit more depth that houses don't work. They're seasonal. Cities are targeting short-term rentals in single-family homes, not in apartments, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The owners, what stops them from kicking you out after a year of you proving that their property works as a short-term rental? And they're very expensive to furnish, which is actually the number one reason why they don't work. Because they're very expensive to furnish, you're not going to see your money back for a year. How are you going to scale? So again, it all comes down to scaling. And when it comes to scaling, you need to get paid back quickly. So I'm going to show you. So this is a 3-unit deal in downtown Nashville, not Music Row, not West End, not Vanderbilt, downtown off Broadway. So in real estate in general, it's a hyper-local thing. So when you're able to look at comparable properties to assess how well you're going to do, you need to get very specific. So your geographical proximity to another property is important to determine how well yours is going to do. It also has to be a structural similarity. So in my model, I'm only focused on 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments. And if I can't find a comparable property, another 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in one or city blocks around me, then I'm not going to do the deal. It's uncharted territory. And the benefit of looking in densely populated markets like downtown Nashville is that you can find all the comps that you want, all the comparable properties. So let's start here. So let me break down my calculator. There are 3 ways to determine your profit, your return on your investment, and your cash to launch, which is, what am I going to do when I buy or rent furniture? What's my first month's rent? What's my deposit? What are my other expenses that are going to come out of my pocket up front? Then you're going to have to figure out what your monthly expenses are going to be, your utilities, your insurance, your license to the city of Nashville, your software, all that stuff we're going to load in here. And I'll show you how easy that is for you to determine what that will be. And then the most important thing of all, which is finding comparable properties. Typically, we're just going to put the address of our target property. In this case, I'm just going to put approximately, it's in downtown Nashville. I'm going to put that right here in my sheet here. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Now, there are occasions where I have acquired 1-bedroom apartments, and there's in a few markets where they actually do better than a 2. But in most instances, it's a 2-2 apartment. That is the mass market property. That's the property of the mass market. So downtown Nashville, this is a 2-2. Important if it has a gym or a hot tub. Now, I'm going to do another video to show you what the optimal property is as per market. There are some markets, older markets, for instance, where a 2-bedroom, 1-bath is the norm, like downtown Seattle, for instance. So in that instance, it will be a 2-1. In this case, it's a 2-2. And then we're going to run comps. Now, you can use your different software out there. I use Rentalizer, or you can use AirDNA. AirDNA.co has very accurate comparable property analysis. The problem with AirDNA, though, it sometimes includes a townhouse or a very nice condo when you're comparing apartments. So you're going to have to actually scrutinize the data itself. Look at the actual properties. And if it's not an actual comp, a 2-2 apartment in 1 or 2 city blocks around you, don't include it. So copy and paste that data right here into comparable property values. So we found one for $83.75. It was actually, it was in our building. Can't get a better comp than that, right? If it's in the apartment building. And then we found one of the other city block, and then 2 more which was another rental arbitrage. They had 2-bedroom, 2 baths in another city block away. And so this is right off of Broadway in downtown. So that's what our comps is saying. It's on average $79.54. By the way, my student's doing over $8,300 a month. That's another video. I'll show you how you can absolutely crush the comps. But that's what the comps are. You're going to have to use a little bit of judgment. You're going to have to make sure that these are actual comps. Very easy to do. Tons of software out there. Go to rentalizer.ai, or you can just go right to mine, or right to AirDNA. So that's how much we're going to earn. Now, what's your next task you're going to have to do? What are our monthly expenses? So we're going to put in here, the rent in this market is $29.50 for this student deal, a little bit above the market. It's a brand new building. And then the service fees, we calculate just around 2.9%. What your credit card processing fees will be. That will also include if you're listing on like Airbnb and things like that. It's approximately $8,600. And then we're going to put our other expenses. Let me explain one thing though. You could be approximately accurate on your expenses. You need to be pinpoint accurate on your comps. So we can ballpark these. Now, the license in this market is $330. That's going to be on average $25. The deposit in this building, we already know, is $500. So let's put the deposit in there. About that, corporate leases, you have a 0 to as much as $500 deposit. No, you're not paying a full deposit like you do on a residential lease. The power bill is $175. You can look on ChatGPT right now in your market and say, hey, what's the power bill for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in whatever your market you're in? It will give you that. Very accurate. I tested this against my own. So again, approximately accurate. In the internet for their AT&T in that market, which is actually a 1 gig internet speed, $75. The license, like I said earlier, is around $25 per month if you amortize that. That you will have to pay up front. The city wants their money up front, $330 in that case. Insurance, we're going a little on the high side. You could use one of these retail insurance companies like Lemonade, but for us, it's proper insurance, $90. Software, there's 2 pieces of software you're going to need. A property management software, $40 a month for Hospitable, or you can use Rentalizer, or you're going to need pricing software. Price Lab's a very good one. I like that one a lot. It's another $40. And then here's the big one. What is going to be your furnishings? Rent the furniture, rent the property, go to market, and use a company named Court Furniture Rental. They're the best. That's who did this one. They did the setup. It was $700 a month for $35 a month over a 6-month contract. They amortized the setup. I mean, you can't get labor for less than that. So it's an incredible deal. $735 for a recurring monthly furniture rental. And the stuff is fantastic. And it is everything, including the towels and the Brita and everything that you need in a short-term rental. We nicknamed it the Airbnb package, their whole home package. So now we know our expenses are going to be $4,217. Subtract that from the $8,000 revenue, you're going to net $73.37. Now this student's netting over $4,300 again because his comps are a little higher. Some of his expenses are actually wind up being a bit higher. One of them was the power. But remember, these are your estimates. You got to get these right. So now the other very big one is, what is my investment going to be? This student's investment comes out to be a little bit above $2,000 per apartment. He picked up 3 at once. So it was a $6,000 investment to earn him a $12,000 monthly net profit. So if you were buying the furniture, you would put your furniture, your property size. This is a 900 square foot apartment, so it's going to come out to be around $7,000 in furniture if you were to buy it. Now, I bought my furniture my first year, and I no longer recommend doing that. It's all about the furniture rental. Now, here's another big kicker, and this is going to be a surprise to a lot of people. You will never, ever pay first month's rent in rental arbitrage if you're doing a corporate lease. Another reason to do it in apartments. Another reason to only do this under an LLC. There's no Social Security or personal credit involved ever. Of every single one of my 62 rental arbitrages, I never, ever, ever had to fill out a personal application with my credit card or with my social security number and all that. So $900. About the miscellaneous, this is actually high. This is going to cost you typically half that. So we had to pay a person that we hired on TaskRabbit. The photographer came in on Thursday, and the cleaner came at the end of the shift after everything was moved in to put the linens on the bed and put everything, adjusted us. We did a little FaceTime video. And guess who was there the whole time? The whole time that was there was a 3-day move-in. We had our person that we hired on TaskRabbit. So $2,135 per unit, 3-unit deal. He went to market in 3 days. We moved in on a Wednesday. He had a guest on that weekend, and I have another video of how to set this up. So I really wanted to explain the most commonly asked question is, what's my investment? Show me the numbers. And you can, if you ever speak to a rental arbitrager, ask them, show me the numbers on what it looks like for your model. Apartment arbitrage is the only thing that works in rental arbitrage, and all apartment arbitrages lead to me. So I hope that helped. I hope that explains some things, and we'll see you next time.